At the Tayos archaeological site in Ecuador, exquisitely carved metal plates were discovered, depicting numerous undeciphered mysterious symbols, along with a series of artifacts that appear to belong to no known culture. What could compel the Vatican, the CIA, and the British royal family to collaborate on an exploration so secret it must remain utterly clandestine? Why did the Vatican, the CIA, and the British royal family secretly seek to uncover this location object? Why is all information about the expedition's results being kept secret? That story is about to be revealed right here. Upon its release in 1972, Erich von Daniken's book Chariots of the Gods, instantly caused a worldwide sensation. The work gradually unveils a series of new clues surrounding the war between the gods from the cosmos. Although the outcome was failure, he retreated and settled on Earth. In the work, the story revolves around a mysterious cave located deep within the territory of the Shua people, also known as the Zibaros. The Votak, famous for their practice of head shrinking, captured the attention of millions of readers. According to Daniken's account, with the help of local guides, he was able to see this complex with his own eyes. The entrance is an incredibly complex system of underground tunnels. To descend deep into the earth, one must traverse countless perilous rock crevices. Though they had lived for many years in this land and were familiar with the surrounding landscape, the local people still could not know what awaited them inside. After squeezing through a narrow mountain crevice, like a chimney leading down into the earth, they entered winding, pitch-black corridors. Recently, this place has become the new home of the vegetable birds. This creature only appears at night and was considered a messenger from the spirit world by the ancient Wawarani people. The air here is thick with the smell of bird droppings, and the rocks are treacherously slippery, making every step a potential hazard for slipping and falling. The delegation had to trek on foot, combining travel by dugout canoe and climbing slopes through the dense riverside jungle of Santiago. An isolated wilderness area for centuries, inhabited only by the Jabaro tribe. Stepping inside, the scene completely transformed. Vast, interconnecting rooms unfolded, each one harboring inexplicable and bizarre phenomena. There is even an area dedicated to worshipping two giant statues, each standing over 2 meters tall, their bodies covered in gold, with hands that have only 4 fingers each. Another place is called the Golden Library, as it houses hundreds of metal plates engraved with characters and images that do not belong to any known culture. These symbols bear resemblance to the symbolic pictograms of the Assyrian, Persian, and Babylonian peoples. This raises the question: why would traces of Middle Eastern civilization appear in a cave in southern Italy? Finally, there was a vast room resembling a grand hall, with seating platforms made from an indeterminate material. Their surfaces looked synthetic, unlike common stone, wood, or metal. Surrounding me were countless strange things, along with hundreds of diverse skeletal remains scattered across the seabed. Daniken asserted that he himself had personally entered the mysterious cave, meticulously explored every corner, and was the first to discover it, not John Morrick, as rumored. According to his account, both individuals witnessed images that transcended all boundaries of ordinary perception. Due to safety concerns and the sensitive nature of the discovery, Daniken refused to disclose the precise location of the site. After finishing the story, many readers are undoubtedly left wondering, where is this place? Does it truly exist, or is it merely a legend? However, it wasn't long before those initial impressions were quickly overshadowed by an unbelievable truth. In 1973, the prestigious Bill Spiegel magazine published an exclusive interview with John Morrick, the key figure in the entire story. In his article, Morrick clearly asserts that Daniken never set foot in Hang. Every detail in the book was recorded by him from this character's account. He shared that he had received a promise of funding for the expedition, but ultimately did not receive any of it. Immediately, this incident ignited a wave of heated debate across online forums. Although denying Daniken's role in the expedition, it is important to note that Morrick did not at all deny the existence of the operation. It was this strangely soothing quality that made his name the focus of media attention. Many people began to wonder, if that action was truly just fiction, why didn't Morrick deny it outright? At that time, Daniken was renowned as a writer who specialized in crafting sentimental plays, often employing soaring flights of logic to drive the story toward its climax. He often linked ancient civilizations like Persia, Assyria, or Babylon to the myth of Atlantis, and from there, developed hypotheses about the existence of extraterrestrial life. However, the work still contains a kernel of truth, which is the story as recounted by John Morrick. Daniken merely added a few details to make the tale more thrilling. Following the speaker's article, the author was invited to an interview during a critique session. However, he only had time to contribute feedback on a small portion of the discussion before having to leave immediately. Content is not based on first-hand experience, but is primarily reconstructed from Morik. Immediately, everyone began searching for this man's true identity. John Morik, whose real name was Janos Morik, was not a native South American but an immigrant from Hungary. Not only passionate about exploring caves, Morik also possesses a profound treasure trove of knowledge in archaeology and ancient languages. He carried the spirit of a free-spirited adventurer, yet possessed the calm intellect of a composed gentleman. After arriving in Ecuador, Morik immersed himself in the local indigenous community, dedicating most of his time to exploring and studying their ancient traditions. He discovered a strange similarity. The Chula language of the Shoa tribe bore a very close resemblance to the Magia language of the Hungarian people. This demonstrates a connection between two cultures despite being half a world apart. Moreover, the capacity for flexible interpretation was also demonstrated through reaching isolated communities deep within the old-growth forests, including the leader of the Shoa tribe. Because this school reveals a sacred site, believed to be where the gods once left their traces. From the very first step into this place, Morik was utterly overwhelmed by the colossal red rock. As they ventured deeper inside, they discovered torches that had been prepared in advance by the indigenous people. By the light of that blazing torch and with the help of a strangely and skillfully woven rope, the group was able to venture deep inside. A series of mysterious corridors appeared behind the cliff wall, seemingly reserved only for those chosen to enter. Inside the cave, Morik saw countless human skeletons, but they possessed many strange features. They had short fingers, a chest covered in hair with an unusual structure, along with a large and crooked skeletal frame. These were large plates, crafted from pure gold, bronze, and an unidentified metal. Their surfaces were carved with strange shapes, both unfamiliar and yet reminiscent of ancient Eastern symbols to him. Thanks to his profound knowledge of ancient languages, Morik believed this was a previously unknown writing system. It is so ancient that its origins cannot be traced nor its formation date determined. The vast corridors stretched endlessly toward the horizon deep within the earth, making one feel they could walk for hours without ever reaching the end. Each time he turned in a new direction, he marked it with a small stone so he could find his way out when returning. When the survey concluded, Leader Shuai ordered that absolute secrecy be maintained regarding everything that had been witnessed. Because in theory, no one believed such planets ever existed or harbored life. That experience led him to believe that this place was once a resting spot for an ancient civilization. And that hard-to-discard thing, or rather, that ancient library, is the preserved memory of a race of people who once existed in the distant past. As an eager explorer, Morris understood that he needed to delve even deeper. But how could one conduct an investigation in the middle of a dense jungle, a place completely isolated from the outside world? The film requires specialized equipment, a modern projection system, and a team of skilled technicians. So the explorer had to travel far and wide in search of funding. But the result was nothing but cold indifference and bizarre behavior. It should be remembered that this was in 1965, long before Erich von Däniken published his famous book. Everyone said that the tales of mystical caves, hidden treasures, and ancient writing systems sounded just like fairy tales. Some scholars have even outright called him a fraud. But then a door of hope opened through the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, also known as the Mormon Church. According to their beliefs, the prophet Joseph Smith was visited by the angel Moroni, who revealed to him the location of a hidden golden book containing sacred revelations. Smith only managed to read a portion of them. Later, the angel Moroni returned, safeguarded the book in a secret place, and preserved it for a future generation. Near the gorge, where there was a mysterious cave later known as the Tios Cave, it is also said that there was a village of the Sua people called Morona. When Moroni contacted the church representatives, they immediately showed great interest due to this astonishing coincidence. And so, the ecclesiastical expedition named the Two Kings was officially established with the goal of tracking down the sacred book. But it is said, there are also rumors that these individuals are actually CIA agents, hunting for something related to a secret government project in the underworld. Particularly, this chasm was the subject of exploration by the Nazi German organization Ahnenerbe in the years 1936, 1939, and 1940, all with the same objective. Even John Morich, whose primary purpose was the search for minerals. He is also quietly searching for the lost treasure key of Emperor Atahualpa, a secret that even Pizarro himself desperately sought. But as soon as the church reluctantly agreed to organize the trip, all the problems unexpectedly became more complicated. Instead of being pleased with the substantial grant, Moritz became extremely cautious. From the United States, many high-ranking church officials were dispatched to the Ikwa region. They crossed the Loi Suoi stream and headed straight for the Theos cave, hoping to find a large-scale mineral deposit, which involves mining rights and offers economic value. And so, instead of leading everyone to that mysterious library, he took them into a worthless cave. In the end, everyone left empty-handed, having found no treasure nor managed to lay hands on any artifacts. Returning to Kaitu, Moritz once again began seeking new sources of support. With the help of his friend, the explorer Julio Goyen, he was able to contact the government agency. They established a survey group named Juan Perez, which included many local inhabitants and soldiers. The person understands the intricate complexities of this inspection field. Though not large in number, the team truly stepped forward and acted decisively. They reached the hard-to-find shelter and encountered a dense gathering of birds outside. But before venturing further inside, the local guides refused to go on. Even the Perez soldier only dared to linger near the entrance. Only Moritz and Julio Goyen continued walking. And it was Goyen himself who later confirmed that, "I saw things that were truly unbelievable with my own eyes." The reason for this additional account is that it comes not from a single individual, but also includes a second witness, another renowned and seasoned explorer well known in archaeological circles at the time. However, due to their still weak and inexperienced forces, they were unable to expand their scope of operations. It was not until 1969 that EQUA's new group of merchants finally gained power. The delegation has received a substantial grant from the sponsor. 43 vehicles were deployed to support equipment setup, panoramic photography, and survey operations, along with a team of military engineers. But upon arrival, Moritz was stunned to realize that group of so-called explorers was actually just a band of robbers, who had come with the sole purpose of plundering and devastating this land's resources. They showed indifference towards cultural values and conservation efforts. As a result, her expedition failed once again. Later, Julio Goyen himself revealed a crucial detail. The cave actually possessed an extremely peculiar lighting system. Quartz crystals have the ability to absorb energy from sunlight and then radiate it throughout a space through the natural reflective mechanism of their mirror-like surfaces. This creates a light source so powerful that it requires neither batteries nor any other supplemental power source. What's even more remarkable is that the atmosphere inside circulates evenly, is pleasant, and completely free of impurities. After a series of failures, Janos Moritz's reputation was severely damaged. However, some argue that he is merely clinging to an unrealistic, impractical theory in pursuit of personal fame and gain. But reality seems to be otherwise. Moritz has made numerous significant mineral discoveries and has collaborated with various mining companies. And it is even more valuable to have accumulated assets in the form of gold deposited at the La Juntina Bank in Ecuador. What he pursued was not fame, nor was it material possessions. After the bitter defeat in 1969, Moritz made a pivotal decision. He filed the paperwork and completed the notarization to declare his legal ownership of the site he discovered. The security system prevents all unauthorized access attempts. The verdicts submitted by Moritz were all meticulously drafted, based on a rigorous system of reasoning. Avoid disputes. If it were all just a product of imagination, would anyone be so devoted as to stage an entire play? Not only that, but Moritz personally sent the documents to the President of Ecuador. Request protection of the area from military intervention, since this is a legally recognized property. But at that very critical moment, a rising power, the Vatican, intervened. The entire situation suddenly changed at a dizzying pace. The court is considering and addressing strong objections related to activities surrounding Thias's goods. Why did they interfere with this journey of discovery? That is a question no one can answer definitively. If Moritz was just a paranoid delusional, then why would a truly powerful woman like her go to such lengths? It includes the Mormon Church, the National Army, and now even the Vatican must devote such a high level of attention. After the famous interview in Der Spiegel, where the truth about the author Erich von Daniken was exposed, Moritz began contacting Stanley. He was an American archaeologist with extensive connections, even with the British royal family. Stanley quickly gained Morell's trust by promising a title to be bestowed directly by Queen Elizabeth I. Along with long-term financial commitment and the assurance of recognition by the world's leading research institutions. The situation became even stranger when Neil Armstrong, the first person to set foot on the moon, appeared on the roster of the TOS company's expedition. A symbol of space conquest now joins archaeologists on their journey to explore beneath the Earth. Faced with countless alluring offers and the beckoning call of fame, Mauryk steadfastly refused them all. He stipulated that he must have complete control and would not allow any organization to interfere. Of course, the British side immediately rejected this request. However, the Ecuadorian government still allowed the expedition to proceed. But Mauryk did not join, despite Julio calling for him to lead the group. The expedition traveled underground for 3 weeks. Astronaut Armstrong later shared that the experience was even more memorable than the moment he walked on the moon. The British expedition, comprised of 8 leading experts, conducted their survey following a rigorous procedure that seamlessly integrated extensive field experience with specialized modern techniques. From that point, a detailed 3-dimensional map was constructed. Although many subterranean natural features bore similarities to Mauryk's prior description. However, there is no verified evidence to confirm the existence of the anomalous artifacts once described by Denikin. Every effort to trace the metallic archives, the library of human knowledge, or artificial architectural structures has only led to dead ends. To put it briefly, Mauryk's entire story was considered a large-scale scam. Finally, in 1991, he took that secret to his grave without leaving any explanation. Meanwhile, the indigenous Shua tribe has stopped sharing information with anyone. Some believe that Mauryk deliberately used explosives to destroy all remaining entrances in order to protect the secret, waiting until humanity was truly ready. With the knowledge and experience he accumulated on the opening day, he was fully capable of doing it. Story ended in everyone. However, the surprising thing is that John Mauryk was not the first to carve letters into the oak door. In the early 1920s, a Celestian priest named Carlo Crespi came to Ecuador on a missionary mission. Driven by a passion for anthropology, the missionary quickly immersed himself in the wild existence of the tribes deep within the jungle. He was particularly fascinated by the culture of the Shua people, a secluded warrior community deep within the rainforest. In 2000, Mr. Mauryk began to devote all his heart and soul and dedicate himself fully to helping others. Meanwhile, Crespi sacrificed his own life for the people and dedicated himself entirely to them. The unconquered warriors of the Upper Amazon. This work not only holds documentary value but also paved the way for him to delve deeper into exploring the lives and aspirations of the indigenous people. Through practical actions like building schools and opening clinics, Crespi gradually built trust. Traveling far and wide through the forest paths to preach moral teachings and record ancient legends. It is unclear what so obsessed him with history, but it may well have been the spirit of exploration, much like many European researchers of his time. However, it is evident that the Shua people held great trust in this missionary, just as they had previously confided in Mauryk about the enigmatic golden plates. Although he never set foot in the world of antiquities collecting, Crespi was still gifted many valuable artifacts by numerous people, which led to the formation of a collection displayed right on the grounds of the Chancery. The majority of these are merely simple handmade products, but a small number of artifacts, if excavated and studied with proper methods, could transform the understanding of modern archaeology. Description of the cave. What is notable is that Crespi never published any scientific research, nor did he leave behind any manuscripts. He quietly oversaw everything in the small room at the Siegen prison in Cuenca. Here, many clerics considered the display of artifacts featuring pagan symbols within such a sacred space to be utterly unacceptable. By 1962, Father Crespi's museum had been completely destroyed in a deliberate fire. Despite suffering heavy losses, many artifacts remain intact and are displayed here. However, faced with increasingly fierce opposition from the church, Father Crespi, now old and frail, was forced to abandon his passion for research. The order to close the museum is said to have come directly from the Vatican, which had sent representatives multiple times to inspect his collection. Not only that, but there were also rumors that the Vatican itself was the force behind the scenes, preventing the Ecuadorian government from funding the acid investigation. For they understood all too well what lay buried beneath the earth. Theoretically, the priest's notebook might also not have been burned in the fire. As predicted, it was stealthily removed from the museum, and a fake crime scene was subsequently set up to erase all traces. When Father Crespi passed away in 1982, everything that had ever existed completely vanished. Part of the statue's value has been transferred to the Vatican. Typically, before being put on display, these items were rarely seen, and there were no official documents describing or analyzing them. So ultimately, what exactly are these mysterious discovered objects? What makes them the focal point attracting the attention of so many major powers worldwide? If you were truly just a product of an old priest's imagination, or that of an eccentric explorer? Perhaps those legendary swords truly exist, and within them lies a secret too profound to be revealed to the world. Perhaps it is all an illusion, born from the yearning to trace one's origins, a place where humanity longs to touch that which lies far beyond all limits of the intellect. Thank you all for watching this video.